Good morning, I'm Carlo Giglio from the University of Calabria. I'm presenting the work Informal Learning in Online Social Network Environments, an evidence from an academic community on Facebook. So, this work aims at analyzing informal learning patterns of conference participants in online social network communities by means of the adoption of social network analysis tools and techniques. In particular, we will start with an introduction about introductory concepts about knowledge and learning processes. Then we will discuss about change in learning processes and tools, and then we will talk about theoretical contributions and research related to the definitions of informal, non-formal, formal, intentional, and accidental learning. Finally, we will end with some methodological remarks about data collection and extraction, methods and algorithms, and we will end with conclusions. So, nowadays, knowledge is shaping the social and economic facets of the globalized society, and it triggers innovation processes and productivity in any organizational context, in both the private and the public sectors. Moreover, firms and freelance professionals, thus including also academic professionals, are leveraging knowledge in order to achieve better performance and competitive advantages. In particular, learning processes are continuously gaining the attention of researchers because they are the means through which knowledge is transferred among people. So such processes are closely related to the interaction for sharing knowledge between teachers and learners, so the knowledge dynamics. Since knowledge exists only as part of the knowers on the one hand, but it is also filtered by learners' needs and backgrounds on the other ends. So, to our purpose, knowledge is considered as the cognitive output of an inflow of stimuli, which is emerging within a learning process. So, several changes have occurred over time, especially in the last 2 decades, in the field of learning, in terms of processes, change in tools, in learning strategies too. And most of the recent changes are radical. The literature about learning led to the attention of researchers the need of adapting the traditional definitions of learning in order to include some variables, some new factors that are related to the emerging delivery mechanism, technologies, tools, and strategies, along with the highly evolved society's expectations, and also to the attendance patterns and the change in institutional structures. Moreover, also educators changed their teaching behavior because nowadays they know much more than in the past about how people learn, what is their learning process. So, research on informal learning is still in its very early stage, and the emergence of online communities emphasized the lack of studies in the field of informal learning within online social networks, which has been considered to an even lesser extent. So, however, such change came together with new research opportunities since they allow to analyze learning patterns during pre-events, online communication and activities. Moreover, change in the learning field allow to predict what topics discussed by conference participants through social network analysis, and also to identify in advance what the potential subnetworks of professional can be interested to discuss in terms of specific research topics. So, some theoretical contributions and definitions about informal learning that is considered as a cognitive process about interest of individuals and communities. It is generally a flexible process, unorganized, non-ordinary process with the total absence of learning objectives defined in advance. So it is a kind of learning by experience. It is like a project-like activity. It is a non-structured educational learning, educational setting, and more than 75% of learning processes in professional context occur in a very informal way, and they are also triggered by serendipitous phenomena, and are also the most productive learning process in a business context. What about formal learning? It is a much more structured process, a hierarchical process that is strongly linked to traditional learning patterns, and it is continuously challenged over time by the development pace of new learning strategies and the technological evolution of learning tools. It has the least impact in business context on the organizational learning, while the non-formal learning is something in the middle. It's a midway learning that fosters individuals' development, mainly individuals' development. It has some kind of no-legal compulsion, but it is still a somehow organized process, with some learning objective defined in advance. Also, the intentional learning has some predefined objective in advance, with also the characteristics of being unifying learning objectives, while the accidental learning is a kind of trial and error, a byproduct learning process which main characteristics are the unexpected random knowledge skills acquisition. So what about the methodology? In this specific setting, that is the conference, the academic conference setting, knowledge interaction are triggered by intentional efforts which are planned in advance by conference managers, and also are triggered by knowledge conflicts among attendees. When this planned process are not well organized, they may fail, and attendees could not be aware about the need of deepening some hot knowledge topics. So, since learning setting affects the way people participate in conference activities, the emerging technologies and tools may help involving attendees and make them acting intelligently. So they are very important. The emerging technologies and tools are very important, play a key role. Especially online social networks communities encourage attendees to express their perception and thoughts thanks to their specific tools and technologies, more than what happens in a real-world context. So, data were collected during 40 days before the starting of the academic event. Data collection and extraction method are performed with the NetWits app 1.05 with the module pages and groups only, and are totally compliant with the data science research approach. Moreover, data analysis has been performed with Gephi online, Gephi open source software, and it identified 1,900 nodes and 1,985 directed edges. So, Even if the social media collect only a quota of the overall informal learning interactions about a conference, about an event in general, the RSAC conference is attended mostly by connected people willing to learn and share knowledge. And the community of more than 8,000 users about this conference ensures a huge and representative dataset. So results highlighted a low level of graph density, but a high number of strongly connected components um, where the modularity is overlapping with the analysis of weakly connected components. Shorted paths are equal to 73, network diameter to 2, and average path length is about 1.1. The hyperlink-induced topic search algorithm and the PageRank distribution and the various centrality measures that are eccentric closeness betweenness centrality measures show a high degree of overall connectedness, whereby a lack of connection among the more than 8,000 users is resulting in terms of overall lack of connection. This may reveal a failure of event organizers while attempting to trigger informal learning process on social media. Graph density and connected components suggest that many subnetworks act separately, though they show that there are strongly tied intra-component relationships in each subnetwork. This may indicate that informal learning interaction on social media tend to be restricted to well-defined subnetworks. Yet there is another point. It is difficult to understand whether such subnetworks are virtual copies of real-world communities of academicians or if they represent alternative groups of Facebook users. Results confirm the overlapping between weakly connected components and community detection analysis. However, this work at an higher level provides an emerging methodological approach and also its first application of its kind by using social network analysis tools and techniques for data visualization, thus filling an existing gap in literature. Other studies may build on it as future research efforts, especially by improving hot topics prediction and to identify in advance sub-communities of scholars attending similar events. Thank you.